Joseph Murphy lectured for many years that material wealth is not the result of chance, but defined by the prevailing vibratory pattern that each person creates in their consciousness. When Murphy studied families that dealt with continuous economic hindrances, he noticed a surprising and alarming pattern. These families kept, without recognizing it, an energetic field of insufficiency that resurfaced from generation to generation, like a scratched record playing continuously the same melody of insufficiency. Murphy identified this pattern as vibrational inheritance. He stated that any family possesses a vibrational pattern linked to economic matters, a frequency that passes on through actions, subconscious convictions and emotional responses regarding monetary limitations. This inherited vibration acts like invisible programming, defining not solely what amount an individual can accumulate, but equally their essential bond with prosperity. Murphy understood that various money-related hindrances that he observed did not stem from ineptitude or negative chance, but simply in the inherited vibration that someone assimilated from the beginning of life. This insight profoundly modified the approach by which Murphy treated economic metamorphosis. Instead of teaching only profit strategies or financial application methods, Murphy focused on a more essential aspect, altering the resonance concerning money that any person received from their family legacy. Murphy described remarkable examples of clients who succeeded to overcome this ancestral pattern, employing specific methods of cognitive reworking. One of these experiences detailed a professional named Roberto, whose family group traversed a repetitive cycle of financial ruin that remained over generations. His male ancestor had lost all his wealth in a catastrophic speculation. His direct ancestor had faced failed businesses, and Roberto, although working obsessively, saw himself reproducing this same destructive cycle. On every occasion that he managed to accumulate some significant amount of resources, an event occurred in an inexplicable way and the individual saw disappear everything. It was as if there prevailed a hidden power sabotaging his conscious endeavors. Murphy worked with Roberto for months, revealing to him a fundamental principle that would constitute the base in all his philosophy. The deep mind does not discriminate between wealth you earned and money your lineage believes it deserves. If inside you there is the resonance that fortune is dangerous, that prospering is risky, that monetary stability is deceptive or fictitious, thus your unconscious mind will act permanently to keep you within this vibration, since it constitutes the true reality. The deep mind does not inquire. It just fulfills the roadmaps that were installed in your psyche through family history. Roberto finally understood that he was not indolent or incompetent. He was molded, and psychic structures can be transformed. Murphy explained that when you alter the preponderant frequency in your core, you modify the programming that you send to your unconscious. It resembles reprogramming a system that was working with antiquated software, which is harmful. If the software remains defined to welcome merely an exact quantity of wealth, then that is exactly what you will obtain, regardless of how much you strive. Murphy demonstrated this truth via contemplative visualization systems that he had developed for many years. He advised his disciples to expend 5 to 10 minutes all mornings, preferably as soon as waking up when the consciousness remains in receptive alpha waves, visualizing not only the arrival of money in their lives, but mainly the internal living of confidence, deep certainty and dignity that comes along with this entry. Murphy proclaimed without any doubt that this feeling represented the true key. It was not the money isolated that had importance for the change. It formed the frequency that the person established in connection with money. With Roberto, Murphy began a process that he designated Ancestral Vibrational Transmutation, a method that he had developed through various proven cases. Roberto would need to, for 8 weeks, expend 15 minutes daily at night when going to sleep in a deepened meditative state. In this meditative state, Roberto should recognize in a conscious way the complete financial path of his ancestors. He should bring to mind his direct forebear facing the financial ruin, his parent facing bankrupt businesses, and all these beings who came before who came previously taking like patterns. Then, mentally, Roberto should utter with real feeling, "I identify what you lived. I honor with reverence the sacrifice you made. I value your journey and the adversities you experienced. However, now in this precious instant, I release this resonance of scarcity from my being. I create a new vibration for my family. From this moment on in my existence, flow, prosperity, and financial certainty are the dominant patterns that guides my paths and my reality. Murphy observed meticulously that when Roberto did this with genuine sincerity, with true emotional feeling that involved his whole being, something extraordinary began to happen in the external world. Roberto's financial situations began to reorganize subtly, but surely. An opportunity that Roberto would have previously rejected out of fear or mistrust came to be seen under a new illuminated perspective. An old client returned with a substantial project. An unexpected scholarship for his daughter appeared at the exact moment when her education was a financial concern. None of this was coincidence, Murphy explained with conviction. It was simply the natural and inevitable consequence of an altered vibration. When you change your internal vibration, the entire universe needs to reorganize itself to correspond to this new frequency you have established. People, opportunities, resources, everything begins to align differently in your life. Murphy created a concept that he called Law of Vibrational Correspondence, a law that he had tested in countless cases. This principle proclaims that the exterior environment always responds exactly to the dominant internal reality. If in your interior you resonate with genuine dread of scarcity, then the surrounding environment will manifest permanently events that confirm this dread and validate your restrictive belief. If in your psyche prevails true faith in your inherent prosperity, then the surrounding environment will reveal perspectives that strengthen and cultivate this tranquility. The most innovative element of this principle is that it operates regardless of your present condition or your previous experiences. A person completely indebted who reorients their vibrational pattern to plenty will start, in a few weeks, to notice subtle alterations that are visible. These changes are generally slight in the initial phases, but are markers of a real transformation. An unlikely expense is avoided, inasmuch as you choose to reject making an impulsive purchase. A possibility emerges because you found yourself in better psychological climate to communicate with someone relevant. Your whole body begins to vibrate in a distinct vibrational pattern. Murphy had a special interest in the family aspect of this transformation because he had observed an extraordinary phenomenon repeatedly. When a person changes their vibration and manages to maintain this change for a sufficient period, the entire family dynamic begins to reorganize deeply. Children who were struggling financially begin to prosper unexpectedly. Parents who faced chronic difficulties find new solutions and paths. It is as if this person, by raising their own vibration, pulled the entire lineage to a new vibrational level. Murphy explained this as a principle of family resonance. When a musical instrument begins to vibrate at a specific frequency, all other nearby instruments naturally begin to vibrate at the same frequency, even without physical contact. Likewise, when you establish a vibration of prosperity within you, all those energetically linked to you naturally begin to enter into resonance with this elevated frequency you created. To create this vibrational transformation that was lasting and genuine, Murphy instituted a system divided into 3 phases that he judged totally necessary for success. The first stage is what Murphy termed conscious ancestral recognition, and he reiterated that it was impossible to advance without ending truly this initial stage. In this phase, you need to dedicate time truly recognizing the complete financial history of your lineage. This does not imply blaming your forebears or despising them with negative frequency. It signifies just understanding, with total transparency, what they faced, the deep traumas that they lived through, the formattings that they established as a survival strategy in moments of crisis. Murphy noted that many individuals strive to avoid seeing this uncomfortable trajectory, sought to make believe it was not real, and this prejudiced irremediably the genuine change. It remains totally impossible to liberate oneself from what you reject consciously to admit. Murphy oriented his apprentices to initiate this simple practice, which is revolutionary. In the night period, ideally before sleep when the psyche is more receptive, sit in silence, in total silence. Perform breaths consciously several times. and internally reflect deeply on your ancestors. Imagine the images of those who came before, admit the difficulties that they lived. Express internally with authenticity something like, "I accept that you, the one who begot me, passed devastating losses that generated deep dread in your being. I recognize that you, my grandmother, developed survival strategies that were passed successively through generations." Murphy explained that this recognition is deeply healing on a spiritual and psychological level. By recognizing the story, you take this story out of the unconscious, where it operates silently controlling your actions, and bring it to the full light of consciousness. In this clear light, it loses the power to control you automatically. It ceases to be something that controls you like a puppet and becomes something you see with absolute clarity and can choose to transform. Murphy used to say with emphasis that nothing that remains unconscious can be truly transformed. Everything that is brought to consciousness can be worked on, can be dissolved, can be rewritten in a completely different way. This first stage should be practiced for at least 2 weeks every day, with genuine emotion and complete attention. The second stage of Murphy's method is what he called declared vibrational disconnection, and he was absolutely clear about its critical importance. In this stage, after consciously recognizing the ancestral story, you must declare with authority that this vibration of limitation will no longer be the dominant force of your life. Murphy was not in favor of a vague or intellectual approach in this stage. He demanded genuine emotion, clear intention, and deep commitment, not just to the words, but to real transformation. After recognition, still in your moment of silence at night, Murphy instructed his clients to place their hand over their heart and say with unshakable emotional firmness, "I completely release the vibration of scarcity that was inherited through generations. I unlink my conscious mind from every pattern of financial limitation that belonged to my ancestors. I allow my soul to be the genuine and true origin of my prosperity and abundance. From this moment, the dominant vibration I establish and maintain is that of conscious abundance, genuine confidence, and unlimited flow." Murphy instructed that this affirmation performs because it establishes a new authority inside you. You do not find yourself rebuffing your ancestors or your past. You stay just practicing your inalienable right as a knowing entity who is independent to choose a new resonance. Murphy had observed diverse cases proven where this declaration, when executed with authentic emotive sincerity, produced a frequency interruption so intense and deep that observable transformations began in a matter of days. He had compiled cases where clients communicated vivid dreams and extraordinary ones right after the affirmation. Dreams during which their forebears gave the impression of to accept this transformation with discreet consent and vibrational acquiescence. Although Murphy showed himself a methodical researcher who was rigorous in his general way of proceeding, he recognized that there were manifestations that surpassed purely material logic and cerebral logic. The third stage is the one Murphy considered absolutely the heart and soul of the entire vibrational transformation. He called it continuous vibrational re-establishment, and it was in this stage that the real work of rewriting your financial reality happened. In this stage, you not only dissolve the old problematic vibration, but actively establish a new vibration that becomes your dominant pattern. Murphy was extremely specific and precise about how to do this to achieve real results. After the declaration of disconnection, still in their deep and receptive meditative state, Murphy instructed his clients to visualize a field of golden, luminous, and living energy completely enveloping their heart, radiating to their entire body. This field is not vague or abstract. It is real, intensely felt in the body, palpable like a transforming physical presence. Murphy frequently asked his clients to describe in precise detail how this golden field felt in their physical body. Some described gentle and comforting heat. Others described deep and enveloping safety. Still others described an extraordinary sensation of expansion and freedom. While he sustained this sensitive manifestation and felt, Murphy taught with determination. Say in your mind, with total certainty, "My dominant vibration now reveals itself as awakened abundance. My bodily structure pulses totally with economic confidence. My unconscious mind remains fully reconditioned to receive generously, to conquer integrally, and to preserve continuously abundance. My energy remains aligned entirely with perspective, endless circulation, and endless development. The scarcity that was inherited disappeared totally eternally. The wealth that is my natural spiritual legacy firms itself in this moment as the definitive condition of my living. Murphy underlined indisputably that these affirmations must be enunciated not automatically from habit or superficially, but with authentic intense emotion, with authenticity that surges from the core, as if you were affirming the most vital affirmation and basic of your total being. Murphy observed that this third stage is exactly where most people faced significant difficulties in the process. They managed to do the first two stages with some success, but in the third stage the rational mind began to doubt and question. How can I say I am prosperous if I have significant debts? How can I say my vibration is abundance if my bank account tells another story of limitation? How can I declare what only my current reality denies? Murphy had a clear and transformative answer for this. He explained that the rational mind does not govern true reality. Vibration governs reality. The rational mind is merely a tool that describes retroactively what vibration has already created. If you want to change what the rational mind describes, you must first change the vibration at the root. Murphy used a potent and transformative metaphor. He said that vibration is like the root of a tree, and visible financial results are like the branches, leaves, and flowers. If you only look at the visible branches and try to change the tree by pruning the branches, you will never achieve real or lasting change. But if you change the fundamental root, the whole tree changes inevitably. Murphy recommended that this last stage be practiced daily, without exception, for a minimum period of 40 days in sequence. He had determined the duration of 40 days, given that he had observed in numerous cases that it was precisely the necessary time for a new vibrational pattern to firm itself fully as the prevailing pattern in the depths of the hidden psyche. The initial period of 14 days are about rooting and installation of the new frequency. The new resonance still seems delicate and provisional. It still fights aggressively with the old frequencies that resist remaining. In the period of 15 to 28 days, something essentially transforms and frees itself. The new resonance begins slowly to conquer true power, to experience more legitimate and true, more essential to your core. Between days 29 and 40, the new frequency finally firms itself as the preponderant frequency that determines your reactions. Following 40 days of regular execution and genuine commitment, Murphy verified that his clients shared an emotional change so radical that it was observable even to outside spectators. The dread that stagnates regarding money decreased dramatically until vanishing completely. The remorse of achieving success and obtaining dissolved itself integrally. A peace which was restful, deep, and unbreakable in the future, abundance started to arise fluidly from within. Murphy had a particular and very effective method to help his clients maintain absolute consistency during these critical 40 days. He recommended they keep a simple and honest journal. Each night, after completing the full ritual of the 3 stages, they should briefly note what they felt and observed, not for heavy intellectual analysis, but simply to deepen the experience and root it. Murphy observed that when people recorded their experience in words, the practice became more concrete, more real, more irrefutable. He also recommended that during these 40 days of transformation, people be particularly attentive to the small signs of change that appeared. A small but significant opportunity that arose unexpectedly, an unexpected expense that was providentially avoided, a casual conversation with someone that led to an interesting and unexpected possibility. Murphy taught that vibrational change does not typically begin with spectacular and dramatic results. It begins, always, with small synchronicities, indicating that vibration is genuinely changing at the deepest level. Murphy underlined a critical element that many disregarded entirely during their implementation. In this period of 40 days of disciplined realization, the practical actions likewise possess essential relevance. The frequency creates the necessary foundation, Nevertheless, you still lack to develop the valor to take action. If a possibility emerges along your journey, you require to possess the determination to investigate it genuinely. If an inspiration surges concerning how to expand your inputs or to expand your revenue flows, you need to find yourself prepared to execute it with decision. Murphy identified this as aligned action, and it configured itself completely essential. It represents the movement that flowers fluidly when your vibrational pattern has changed to plenty. This movement configures itself as substantially dissimilar from the desperate action grounded in anxiety. It is conduct that is confident, clear, instinctive, and accurate. Murphy identified that as his disciples preserved the appropriate frequency and acted consistently in alignment with this energy, the paths unfolded in forms that before seemed completely impractical or practically miraculous. The path that the Master Murphy provided was essentially a way of true emancipation and genuine. It was not escapism from true obstacles. It constituted confronting the factual truth that you were molded by transmitted ancestral resonance and deciding with full consciousness and with conviction to alter this vibrational pattern integrally. It characterized itself as understanding that you carry exceptional potency not merely to alter your own life, but to transcend the entire history and future horizon of your entire lineage. This knowledge represents real power in its deepest sense. Not that force uniquely to dominate or to subjugate antagonists, however, the true power to transcend, to transmute frequency, to surpass ancestral restrictions. This teaching, Murphy professed with absolute certainty, constitutes the authentic liberation which is monetary and holy that every conscious creature searches for.